Man, if you had the privilege of getting up this morning and watching this market open, you were probably just chewing your nails on the back of the inflation data hitting a 30-year high. We're going to be discussing that today and talking about Rivian that had its IPO and is making GM's panties get in a wad. Yeah, I said that. We're going to get down into that news, guys, but let's kick it off by taking a look at the stock market watch list that I have on StockTwits here, guys, because everything is primarily in the red, and it was one hell of a volatile morning, probably one of the most volatile market days we've probably seen most of this year. I mean, we saw Tesla dip down in the 900s before running up 5%, but this is where we start seeing those discounts, guys, because I was telling you, you do not want to be buying these stocks at all-time highs. Most of the price appreciation for the near term has been eaten out of these companies, and today, because people might not have as much money to spend because of inflation, because obviously the logistics nightmares, people are kind of getting fearful of these markets where we currently sit anyway. So I would be looking at this and paying close attention. I mean, Amazon's down a whopping 2.5%. If you have any green in your portfolio today, I would just be grateful because there's a lot of red here, folks. And just getting into this, U.S. consumer prices jumped 6.2% in October, the biggest inflation surge in more than 30 years, which is no surprise. We got gasoline prices going up here, guys. A lot of commodity prices still holding all-time highs. And if you're in Canada, I'm going to leave a link to this in the description below because the CRA actually releases this data. And I find it real intriguing, though we don't have the October data. I mean, we saw fish and seafood. A lot of food prices have actually been coming down. Whereas if I scroll all the way down here, we're seeing rent go up, which would only make sense because we're in these crazy real estate markets where people have to make money on their rent, right? Like you're not making a huge return if rent's not going up. But if you want to see also some interesting data I found in here, scroll down to where we find transportation. We're going to see gasoline prices, I guarantee you, hitting all-time highs in October. But where things get really intriguing, guys, is in basic transportation needs like city, bus, subway, and transportation has been hitting highs we haven't seen in a long time. Taxi service, air transportation, all of this going up. And again, primarily probably backed by oil. But I feel like some of the food stuff, those logistics have been getting worked out. So somehow the prices have been deflating against the oil and transportation costs because you can still buy toilet paper at a good price. And I would recommend, guys, in these hyperinflated markets, you want to buy everything in bulk. You want to buy 3 to 6 months worth of these material goods so you don't have to deal and worry about the day-to-day fluctuations, unless you're a gamer, of course. If you're a Bitcoin miner, I mean, if you've been watching Nvidia stock push all-time highs, which has been absurd, trading up 1,238% still, and it did pull back today in this market, guys. I mean, it's trading down 3.98%, but man, oh man, these graphics cards, guys, an RTX 3090 on their actual website is listed for $14.99. On eBay, they are flipping for all-time high numbers. I mean, we're seeing these cards sell for upwards of $4,000 and being listed for $4,000 plus. So if you can manage to get your hands on one of those, you will over double your money. So I feel bad for you gamers and Bitcoin miners because nobody wants to be paying these absurd prices. Now, talking about Rivian, this IPO, man, this was actually real fun for me because Rivian hit a valuation of over like $100 billion. Am I trading this? Absolutely not. But primarily what I found hilarious was that Rivian IPO proves General Motors is undervalued, says GM CEO Mary Barra. And I'm going to, I don't believe that, and I'll explain why in a sec. But the massive valuation of electric vehicle startups such as Rivian, so General Motors is undervalued. GM CEO obviously mentioned here, and GM is trading for a lower valuation than Rivian, which is surprising because Rivian hasn't even really delivered vehicles yet, and they got a PE of around 8. So yeah, GM, probably a pretty cheap stock. My problem with GM is PR matters so much, guys. You look into GM's history. This is a company in the 1990s that started electric vehicles. And in the Wikipedia page where they discuss that electric vehicle they produced, they were the ones that apparently squashed the entire idea because most of their money came from repairs and services, which we know with electric vehicles are way less. I mean, that was bad PR to begin with. But then you talk about the fact that they tried to make a partnership with Nikola right when the Hindenburg report came out. God, that didn't look good. And then on top of that, guys, we're talking about their first electric vehicle release to be a Hummer. What the hell, a Hummer? I don't get that. Like, why not release a truck like Ford does? Why not release a mass marketed vehicle? Prove your capabilities in the EV market first and that there is demand for these products. I mean, that PR just kind of accumulates to investors saying, I'd rather own Tesla or Rivian, right? And honestly, guys, if I were you, you're interested in kind of Rivian or some of these plays or even General Motors, I wouldn't buy them. You know what I would buy? I would just buy Amazon. Most people don't even know that Amazon holds over 26% of the outstanding shares of Rivian. Yeah, obviously today Amazon's down, Rivian's up, but honestly, if you believe in the full scope of the electric vehicle market and Rivian's going to have a huge play in that and they're going to do a lot with Amazon, I mean, guys, buy Amazon. You're going to get none of the volatility, all of the upside. If it gets squashed, you won't even feel it on the balance sheet. So I would just focus on doing it that way. I mean, I like those big tech companies because even if you buy, say, Microsoft or Google, you're still getting exposure to SpaceX. Honestly, the conglomerates are like ETFs today, guys. So I want to pass a question off to you. What do you guys think about this market? What stocks are hitting you the hardest? I'm going to be doing some individual videos coming up because we just saw Riocan's earnings, a lot of Canadian stock earnings. And then on top of that, folks, I mean, I want to do a full breakdown on NVIDIA itself. A lot of you have been sending stocks my way to review. I'm sorry. I've just been insanely busy doing interviews with CEOs. Tomorrow I've got one. We're going to be diving right down into the uranium market, which has been exploding, by the way. Congrats to anyone that's been buying uranium stocks. I got an interview with a guy that manages two of some of the largest uranium companies in the US. So look forward to that tomorrow. But in light of this, stay cool, stay awesome, and I look forward to catching you tomorrow.